Hello, good evening to everyone. Thank you for stopping back at my channel again. I'm happy to be here tonight, and I'm very glad that you came back to visit with me. I want to tell you another story from my childhood. And before I start on this story, before I start on this story, I want to give a warning first that it does contain episodes of child bullying, and if you grew up in an environment where you were bullied, you may not want to watch this video because it might be triggering for you. The bullying in this video did not come from within my family, but just be warned that there will be episodes of extreme bullying, I guess you could call it, in this video. This take place also in California, also on the one street that we lived on. That wasn't on the cul-de-sac. It was actually just where you could actually drive through from one side of the street to the other. And when we first moved in there, we were friends with all the neighbors around us, the neighborhood kids and stuff. We would play with them out in the street, ride our bicycles together, play ball, hopscotch, go to the grocery stores with them. And I actually spent the night at one of the girls' houses a few times. And we were pretty friendly with all the neighbors, the kids and stuff, all in that neighborhood there. We went to school together. We rode the same bus together and had some of the same classes together. But something happened while we lived there where it turned bad, and the neighbors got to where they didn't like us anymore. And I've thought about this a lot, and I can't think what we did that caused them to turn against us. But it was kind of like a wave of anger, because when one neighbor turned against us, all of them got involved in it. So we had neighbors on the left-hand side and neighbors on the right-hand side that were all involved in this situation, plus the ones across the street over there, and then the ones down at the end of the road that we used to hang around with. The whole entire block pretty much got involved in it. I don't know how we escalated to that point, but they did. And it turned pretty violent. In the summertime, we had a fenced-in backyard. We had a pretty high a chain link fence, and I think there was one side of it even too had a privacy fence around it. Get back. My dog's in here bothering me. And we used to play out in the backyard. As I had mentioned before, we had a pinball machine out there on the back porch that we used to play. Plus, there was a swing set out there and some other playground equipment and stuff that we used to all get out there. Even the other neighborhood kids used to come over there and play in our backyard. And so we were always outside in the summertime playing. Well, after this incident where it got to be a violent episode where they didn't like us anymore, we could be out in the backyard playing, and they would come through the yard, slap us in the face, and run out laughing. My brothers and I would be out there, just playing the pinball machine or pitching a ball back and forth, and they would come through one side of the fence, slap us in the face, and run out the other side. And it got to where my brother was in the garage doing something, and the garage was open. We had a garage door that was raised up, and we never parked any vehicles in there because my father always had the car with him at work, but we did put a lot of things inside of the garage. And my brother was out there playing one time, and they came up into the garage with a hot screwdriver and burnt my little brother with a hot screwdriver, and then ran away laughing about it. So we got to where my mom said we couldn't play outside anymore. So we actually had to play inside the house because it wasn't safe for us to be out in the yard anymore. Then they got brave enough where our house, the way it was ranged, it was kind of a long, skinny ranch type house. There was the front door that you went through, and then the living room area, and then a kitchen, and then there was a hallway that had the bedrooms. But then through the living room went out to a door that led out to the back from the kitchen area that led out into the backyard. They got brave enough to where if the doors was open, they would come up and shake on the door handle to see if it was open. They would run through the front door into the house, and if we were anywhere close where they could hit us, they would hit us and then run out the back door. If we weren't close enough where they could hit us, they would just run through the house and scream and make noise. But they got brave enough to where they actually came inside our home and was slapping us. They would run by the window at night when we were in there sleeping and beat on the window and say, "We're going to beat you," cuss words, and throw rocks at the window and pound on the window almost to the point where I'm surprised the window didn't shatter. They knew what side of the house was our bedrooms on because we were friends with them. So they would run by and beat on the windows. They would throw trash in our yard, all kinds of trash, any kind of trash that they could find. Old empty milk cartons and tin cans and dirty diapers, any kind of trash that they could find, soda bottles. I think they walked up and down the ditches and stuff and just picked up trash and threw it in our yard. And my father, as I told you before, he worked on different types of equipment and stuff, and sometimes he would bring it home. And we had a pool table in our garage. It wasn't set up where we could play pool on it, but it was kind of leaning up against one side of the garage in there. And the door was open on one particular day. They came up into the garage with a knife and sliced the green stuff up on my father's pool table, on my daddy's pool table. I mean, that's how mean these kids were. It wasn't just one family doing it. There was several families involved in this. The house, the way we lived in, on one side, the roof came down at an angle to where it was kind of like built into, I think it was called a break wall or a mud wall. It was actually built into the dirt to where you could walk up that side, and the roof slanted down close enough to it to where if somebody came up on that side, they could actually get onto the roof. And they would actually climb on the roof of our house when we were asleep and stuff paper down the chimney and holler down the chimney, "We're going to burn your house down." And us kids were scared to sleep in the bedroom back there by it because we were just afraid at any moment we were going to wake up and our house was going to be on fire. We had a pet rooster that we had raised. Back then, they used to, around Easter time, they would sell little baby chickens if they had died with food coloring. They're not allowed to do it anymore. The ASPCA had gotten on to. But they used to sell them in pet stores like that, purple, pink, green, yellow chicks. And we had bought one Easter as a baby and had raised it. It turned out to be a rooster. Most of them were roosters. But it was a pet rooster. And it was very gentle and tame. You could catch it and pick it up real easy and pet it. And it was out in our backyard. We just turned it loose out there, and it was running around our backyard. Well, somehow or another, they came into the yard and managed to catch that chicken when we weren't there, our pet rooster. Took it out of the yard, and they kept it for a couple of days, I guess, till we got to missing it, looking for it. And then they killed it and threw the dead chicken's body over in our yard for us kids to see. Of course, that was pretty traumatic for my little brothers, and even for me. You know, I can still remember that to this day. And my mom had to go out with a trash bag and pick the chicken up, and then we had to dig a hole in the yard and bury our pet chicken. They rode, like I said, they rode the same bus that we rode. So they knew where our bus stop was. And my sister got off the bus one day, and a bunch of them ganged up on her and beat her very badly. She came home with a bloody nose, busted lip, and was crying, and said that they had caught her when she got off the bus. They waited for the bus to drive away, and then they beat her up. And we had asked her, why she didn't try to fight back. She said there were several of them there. One of them was holding her and letting the other one hit her and said, "If you fight back, we're all going to jump on you." So she really couldn't do anything. So one of them held her down while the other one beat her up, and there was several other ones there. And they threatened her that if she tried to defend herself in any way, they was all going to gang up on her. And I mean, she came home and she had blood all over her clothes and everything. It got to the point where we were unable to live in that house. We actually had to pack up everything and move. And when they saw that we were moving and had loaded up a U-Haul in the back of my daddy's truck and stuff with our furniture, they come over and had the nerve to say, "Oh, you guys are moving away? Why would you want to move away from such a wonderful neighborhood like this?" And laughing about it, just basically tormenting us. Now, I have talked to my other sisters about this. They don't remember it. And I think maybe sometimes when traumatic stuff like this happens in your life, you block it out. So maybe they blocked it out. I know my older sister doesn't remember it at all because I've asked her and she said she doesn't remember it. But I do. I definitely remember it happening. There was probably a lot of other stuff they did that I can't even think about, that I don't even remember because I try to forget about it as the years have went on. I've tried to forget about it, but there's nights when I'm sitting up and it just comes to me and I think about it and I remember how horrible it was living on that street. And the sad part about it was we were friends with those kids when we first moved in there, and then it turned bad for some whatever reason, and they hated us. They actually hated us to the point where they physically drove us out of that neighborhood. And so that's my story for tonight. I want to thank you guys for stopping in. I know this wasn't the most pleasant story to tell, but it's the one that I felt like I needed to share with you tonight. And I hope that you will come back and visit with me again. Thanks for stopping in and have a great day. Bye.